So, Chris, you didn't answer me. What is your obsession with seeing me in BDSM gear?
Well, it's a kind of interesting subject, this, because if you want to carry on for last week when you were telling me about how you were into pole dancing, I didn't know this, ladies and gentlemen. Dakota's actually taken up for the hobby, pole dancing. Out of curiosity, how much money have you made out of that in your pole dancing? Any
None.
truckers loops? Honestly, I think everybody in the chat here, guys, do you want to see Dakota do some pole dancing? Come on, you need to do some video for us. Come on.
No.
Well, come on, we get a couple
It's
of the
bad
industrial
enough I
bolts.
told
We
you
can
about the
bust.
exotic dancing
Well,
classes I took.
no, I didn't get you taking exotic dancing classes.
Yeah, full on like Magic Mike stuff, man.
Why did you do that? Is this one of the other kind of like? Was this a long time ago? Is this what you were thinking? Building bunkers, dancing classes, or something like that? Next,
What the fuck? No.
what do you
Well,
think,
first off,
Stephanie? You're kind
I
of
need a better dancing partner than you, man. God.
what about Dots? Dots, come on, you and Dots. I could seize the news strutting away in Ireland. Was it the Full Monty? You ever seen the movie The Full Monty?
Dear Lord, he's gone.
Oh,
I triggered something tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I apologize to the nunnery that said they were going to be watching tonight.
bless you, my child. Bless you, my child. But you have sinned. Bless you.
Poor Dots.
Aye, I could see the two of yous. They knew you might hit. You could hit Ireland like a storm. I can see it now. Coming to Ireland soon. Dots, MC, and Dakota Franson. There's your name, right? Pole dancing extraordinaires. Do, 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 do. I can say, come on, I can see it now. Wait, no, I've just had an idea. The next event with Elena, they could have like a separate event on.
Oh, dude, don't break.
Come on. I would come on. These aliens are into this kind of stuff too. The intergalactic species out there, they're into the kind of stuff. They're like doing a wee bit of the jigging.
Oh,
That kind of
speaking
stuff.
of which,
What?
I read something that I thought was kind of hilarious in Elena's new book. You're gonna want to hear this.
Oh,
well, it was like I said. I got my copy. I've already read through it, and okay, there's an interesting little line that she has in regards to the particular species that my wife happens to be. I'm just getting to the bit to it right now.
Gentlemen. If you have any children in the room, send them out.
All right, Nyan Taskaru. That's where my wife is from. The last line of it. Taskaru women are also known to be highly skilled in the art of lovemaking. I was like, Elena, I know that. That's how I got 3 kids.
What about the purple woman with 3 breasts? What about the purple woman with 3 breasts? Are they talked about?
There's one that has purple people in there.
Oh, purple. You don't know what you're missing, ladies and gentlemen.
Maybe you should be getting your own copy, Chris.
I'll get my own copy. I've got other things to buy first. I've got other things to buy.
I know you got more important things, in which already makes tonight's
conversation. There's Ken Jackson in the room. Which it says that's how many dollars did you get? Well, there you go. How many dollars did you get when you were taking these classes? Did nothing?
No, I was the one paying for them.
Oh, right. I thought you were the one teaching them.
No. I have other motives.
I've just had a vision. I've just had an image in my head that I don't think burning it on the surface of the sun will get rid of it ever again. I can imagine this room filled with beautiful women doing all the dancing, and then this guy standing, jiggling away. God help us all. That's all oh my God, that was a mental picture. Take me now. Beam me up. What?
At least I still got the hips for it.
My hips are gone. I'm afraid mine's all clucky, and yeah, that's something you're going to look forward to when you get to this age and you get arthritis and stuff like that. You get all clucky and
these kinds of dances actually help prevent that.
Why don't you do it in your spare time? Balding bonkers, classes and dancing. I think it'd be a hat. You and Dots, I could see the two of you the new jigging away.
What did I trigger?
Well, as long Look, it's as if
Ladies
I
and
was. I
gentlemen, we do
remember that
support mental health, but cannot pay anybody's therapy bills.
it could have been. It could have been worse. I could have started talking about the Gators again.
Hey, you're the one clapping them.
Look, look. There's again. Do you know, right? And this is an actual fact. There's you ever heard of Robert Burns? There's actually stories
Aye.
out there where Robert Burns clapped sheep and clapped cows and all those kind of things. That's a bit wrong, isn't it?
Yeah, I know about Robert Burns because when I
Aye.
saw the little 3D reconstruction of what he looked like at the museum, I couldn't help. I was like, why the fuck does that dude look like me?
He was chased. He was chased over a bridge with horny witches. Man, to do things to him. The bridge you doing? I don't know. I just lived on the roof.
Is that where you get your fantasies from?
Well, I tell you, when you want to see in my head's like a strange world to the unknown person, you know. So anyway, we're talking about life after death tonight. We're talking about life after death tonight. We're not going to segue here. We're going off in a. Where's Pete when you want him? Pete in the chat. I bet he's working, watching.
Pete would not help the conversation.
Aye, but Pete's into this kind of stuff. He's into this kind of thing. He's into the pole dance and all that kind of thing.
Into this type of thing, but Pete sounds like he's got more important things to worry about now.
Yes, he does. So, life after death. How do you want to start this off? Because it's one of these kind of things. It's like the end of death, or where do you want to go with this?
I don't know. This is a pretty complex topic, and some coming from a couple of idiots, with our backgrounds, add some interesting perspective. So, yeah, you're the one that suggested it for tonight. How do you want to go about it?
Right, I've been reading that book. What's that called again? Shit, it's over there. Puck.
Proof of
It's
Heaven.
over there. Proof of Heaven. Right. I mean, I definitely believe in life after death. Life after death definitely exists, but I don't think it exists in the same as. See, this is where you can go down the lines of like different religions, right? There's my next door neighbours are having a party, by the way, just in case you're picking up any music. But anyway, well, you got all these different religions, right? When you got all these different religions, I think whatever you want, you will get when you go to the afterlife. So if you believe, let's take a Hindu, right? Like they believe when they die, they're reincarnated again, right? I believe that's where they go, right? They're reincarnated again because that's what they want. They want to come straight back again, didn't they? Whereas, when you go.
Well, no, that just reminded me of a joke from a stand-up special.
Right. Whereas we've got like a Islamic where they die, they'll go into heaven and they'll get 36 virgins and that they will stay. I don't think they get that, to be purely honest with you. I don't think that exists. And it's the same with the Bible. I don't think that exists. I think the afterlife, I think you die, you go back to the source, right? You learn why you came here, and God knows why I came here. You came here, right? Hey, Facebook user, we don't know who you are. You came here to learn, right? So you go back for. I was actually talking to Lisa Fry about this. You came here to learn, right? This is like a school. You go back, you meet your family again, you chat away or whatever, and you know in the afterlife there's no really time. Time's different there. So like 1,000 years in the afterlife is like maybe a minute here on Earth, kind of thing, right? So I think that's a lot of people say, "Oh, my grandmother died. I want to see her, but I'm only 10. So what happens if I live and then she reincarnates again?" Right? You came where I'm going with this, didn't you? Whereas if time doesn't really exist in the afterlife, when you get to say 90, die and go over, she'll still be there. Right, and you can spend, a part of her will meet her, do all that kind of stuff, and then it'll be your turn to come back again. You'll have to pick your life's journey, because when you die, what I've learned from mediums that I know and stuff, when you die, you have to go through a life review to see all the good things that you've done and all the bad things that you've done. And if you followed your soul contract out correctly, and then I think you plan again your next life. What's your opinion on it? Do you think that's what it is?
In some regards, yeah. But also, this is where the weird ET side of things also kicks in. Which, speaking of which, that Dr. Evan Alexander, one question I would love to ask him, because from what I've seen, nobody's asked of it yet. Why is it that there seems to be an overlap when it comes to like near-death experiences? It comes in regards to like ETs and angels. Because if you look at some descriptions of, say, like people taking DMT or hallucinogenic drugs to the point to where they think they see angels. Why is it some people see angels and other people see gray aliens? Just as an example.
But here's an interesting thing. How do we not know that if we go back to the days of the Bible, right, and Jesus and the angels come down from heaven, how do we not know that those angels weren't angels? What happens if they were aliens?
Some of them look like it.
What happens if there's advanced races out there that are so advanced they've managed to, like, they don't have form, they're just energy beings, right? And they can go to the afterlife and come back for the afterlife as they please because they're so advanced, right? What happens if it's like Mike would say, right? Mike didn't believe in angels and demons, right? But he believed that it was like the law, and he believed in other kind of creatures and things, right? Angels with white wings coming down to like save you and stuff like that, I don't believe in. I believe there's spirit guides, and I believe that the angel, there is like angels, but I don't believe they look like that. I don't think they do.
No, if you actually pay attention to the biblical description of angels, they're a hell of a lot scarier.
They're totally different, yeah. If you is it the Old Testament and all that kind of stuff? If you go back, like the New Testament, the King James ones know exactly the best, but if you go back to the original ones, angels didn't really look like that. They look totally different. And see, I used to know this guy, and he practiced church. He was like a minister, but it was like one of these New Age ministers, and he tell us this once. He says when the angels were come down, he says, what happens if you think they're aliens? Because he actually said that to me. He says they might have been aliens, and this is when I was only maybe about 12, 13. And he says to me, they might have been aliens, because they say the light come down for the sky, right, and out they came. I do believe there's advanced civil. I do believe there's Louise. I do Lawrence too. I do believe there's civilizations out there that are so advanced, even the Federation and all that, they know about them, but they don't even bother with us because we're mere. What do you call it? We're just annoying to them. Do you understand? They look at us like bugs, kind of thing.
There are some variants of those types of races, as you describe, but a majority of them do have some sort of form of communication. But the type of beings you're talking about, where they're at, it's all the same to them. It's all different, but it's all parts of the same world, rather.
But I don't know what book it was. It was in a show. I think it was in Coast to Coast AM. I can't remember where it was. They were talking about these beings, and they were so advanced, and I mean they were like trillions of years old, right? And they looked at other races like, nah, they were like light beings, and that's how they existed. and they could travel interdimensional. They could do anything they wanted, right? They could go any. Do you hear that?
Or what?
I thought I heard my name getting said there. They can travel anywhere instantly, but they're like ascended kind of beings. We're even like the races out there that are millions of years old that have got Dyson spheres around suns and stuff like that, right? Are no even they look at them and think, right, that's nice, and then just don't bother with them because they're more advanced. They don't need ships to travel. Do you get me? Yeah. But it's interesting how you say about the ETs, how they've managed to tap in to Earth to reincarnate on Earth. I find that interesting. How do they do that?
DNA match.
Really?
My understanding of it, it's a lot like organ transplants.
But
You have to make sure that the certain bodies are compatible with the foreign object, otherwise it would get rejected.
but what I'm trying to say is this, right? I'm an alien, right? I'm getting ready. I'm thinking, right, I need to take you, Dakota, and put you into somebody's to give birth to. How do I go about that? Do I like take in my wee ship, fly down to Earth, and say, right, I'll pick that woman there? Is that, or how do they do it?
Usually pick through the mother's side.
Right? Is
The
that
lineage
why?
is slowly, the DNA is slowly integrated into the maternal lineage, so that way it seeds itself naturally.
So that's actually quite interesting. You say that because you hear families that have had all families that have had UFO experiences throughout the years. So right, let's say families have had UFO experience for the 1940s to right now, and their ancestors and their children's children are having the same encounters. So it makes you wonder. They had their. That's why they're getting took.
And going into reincarnation itself, even if ETs weren't a factor of it, you still have several stories where people are essentially giving birth to their own parents.
See, that's a weird one, that, isn't it? See, that is a weird one. I mean, I watched something on the TV once, and it was a psychic was telling this person about their mother had died, but they were having a kid, so she decided she was going to come back in that kid. So that's just downright weird, that, isn't it? So
Yeah,
it's like,
so like there's one story, I can't remember where it was out of, but this woman, she was driving around with her kid, and all of a sudden, Annie, why don't you fucking listen to me? And that particular nickname, Annie, was something that only her older brother would ever call her by.
see, did you ever see that documentary on the TV, and it was about the kids, the children that remembered past lives?
Yeah, even Carl
And
Sagan was trying to look into it a little bit.
That's right. That's right. I remember that. Do you ever seen the case of the little boy? And he was just starting to speak, and he says, "Oh, that," and he knew everything about the World War II Corsair
Yeah.
aircraft, fighter aircraft, and they take him to a museum, and he's like, "Oh, the wings fold and that," and the guy's like, he knew everything. He knew absolutely. He just beginning to speak, right? And he knew absolutely everything about the aircraft, right? But when he got to a certain age, he started to forget. But it was
Yeah.
documented, and there's been other cases too. There's been other cases too where little girls and little boys have said, "Oh, I was in the war. I was a soldier." And see,
Exactly.
it makes you wonder what's in for you when it's the end.
Oh, it goes to make you wonder how deep that programming actually is, because obviously with these kids, part of the reason why they forget, yes, it could be, their parents, oh, that's not true. You could never know that, blah, 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 blah,
No.
blah. And they start to believe it. But it could just very well be normal brain growth that essentially covers it up. And they have to get into a certain state of mind, either through hypnosis or extreme sleep deprivation in rare cases.
But here's a question. Do you think, right? I wish Lisa was here because she could probably answer this better. Do you think, right, you're in the afterlife, you've lived to your 80, you die, you go to the afterlife, right? So you've met everybody, you've had your peri and all that kind of stuff, you've done your life review and stuff like that, and they're saying, right, it's time you go back now. Do you think you can pick exactly what you want? Or do you think there's only options? Like, say, for instance, you go to a new school and you get to pick what classes you've got. So you can take science, or you can take woodwork, or you can take engineering, right? Do you think that's how it works?
It really depends on the purpose. Say, like it's what they believe a Starseed program is. They have different programs to serve different purposes. Certain programs will have certain goals in mind, certain lineages they would target. But in theory, yeah, I guess you could technically say that it can go towards any physical body that's physically able to carry the soul. Like I said, it seems like there's almost like an organ transplants acceptance factor kind of into it.
See, this is where you could do. This is where you could do the side of the bad people, right? What happens to the bad people? And it's quite interesting because what I've heard is, I mean, you could do. Everybody's heard what happened to Hitler. They all think he's in hell. Was it that film, Little Nicky? You know, his dad's shoving a pineapple up his arse now as we speak. I don't think it's like that. I think he's probably been reincarnated again. And he's probably living it. For all you know, it could be one of you that's watching this show right now. You could have been Hitler in a previous life.
Careful, you're talking like that girl on TikTok who's trying to take a
Oh,
claim
that's
to
just
fame.
that's just
I know.
madness. That's just madness.
It's like, why would you purposely admit that?
I mean,
one, if she was in fact Hitler from a previous life, why would you want to admit that? One.
But think about this, right? Say there is a karma. There is karma in the universe, right? We all know this. Is you do good, so something good things will happen to you. It maybe happen. No, it maybe take some time to happen, but it eventually does happen, right? What happens if Hitler? I mean, this is what people don't realize today. When you die, say in the year 2050, right? You can choose to come back to 1875 if you want. You've heard that one, haven't you? Where you can actually choose. And I've all the psychics have told me stuff like this. You can choose to come back at a different time, which I find very interesting. What's that? Do you think that only a handful of people are reincarnated? The increase.
That's actually a very interesting question. I like that.
Do you think that the only handful of people are reincarnated? How does reincarnation explain the increase in population? See, I have heard. I mean, if you could do the theory that there's only so many life forms on Earth, humans, and the rest are bots. See, you could go down this. You could do this path where you could say, right, there's what 8 billion people on Earth.
But only just past 8 billion, yeah.
But only 4 billion of them have souls.
Yeah, this is where it gets really difficult once you really think about it. But in theory,
I mean, yeah,
some of those souls could very well be brand new, quite literally just formed from the cosmos, and that's their first life.
Yeah,
it's one of those things we don't really know unless we're at either a vantage point of those really high-end ETs that don't even have a physical body. They're just pretty lights floating through the air that have some sort of sentience to them, or we're going through the process ourselves.
See, this is what I find interesting because, right, say you can go back to any point to be reincarnated, right? So does that mean you can basically haunt yourself? Say you're in a ghost investigation. What's to say that that isn't you? Just thinking, oh, watch this, everybody! Look, I'm a ghost now. I've got a date to myself. What's not to say that the ghost that you're in contact with isn't yourself?
Something just get dropped on your end?
No,
It sounded like something heavy just hit the floor on your end.
nothing.
Did anybody else just hear that?
I've not got the noise cancelling as on. I can hear perfectly fine.
Yeah, it
But I
sounds
can
like
turn the
something
window
just got
aside.
dropped on your end. But well, your age, you're probably going deaf.
Hey, who are you? I don't know. That's my beard. Who is it? It's my family. Yes, it's my beard.
Yeah. What he thinks is it weird? Yeah.
It's a beard. At least I can grow one.
Hey, there's a baby in the house. I don't need to give them anything they can grip onto.
That's very true. I'll tell you something new. Have you ever noticed with kids, and this is a total side thing for the afterlife, they can get into anything. Have you noticed that? When they start to get to that age, like 2, when they start crawling and stuff like that, they can get into anything. I mean, I get trouble opening drawers and breaking about for stuff and that. Give them 10 seconds and they've pulled everything out the drawer. And you're like, "Ah!"
You know, it's one of those things like, okay, it's too quiet in this house for a kid. Where are they at?
I don't know. Is it my ghost Robert? Is he here? I don't know. It's off he called next to me. I don't know. Maybe there is. Maybe he's here. I don't know. Louise.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe.
A lot of strange things have been happening in my house ever since my mum
You know,
passed.
speaking of which, one thing I did kind of want to bring up for this, and it's something that you've touched on a little bit with what's been going on your end, is that you hear these stories from paranormal investigations and sometimes even psychic mediums that there's certain, while yes, the dead can come about, they can come in, check on you, let you know that they're doing good if it's a recent passing, but there's certain things they're not allowed to share. What do you think's up with that?
See, that's interesting because I've been playing about. You ever played about with the pendulum?
Yeah, I got one somewhere around here.
Right, but don't. You can use your horn if you want, but if you've got to be dead. So I find if you put it on like something sitting stationary, and then you can't say that it's should it stay in it. I did it the other night there, just for a laugh to see what would happen because I thought I could talk to my house guest, and it was still, and I says, "All right, if you're there, Robert, make it spin," and it started to spin. I says, "All right then, if you really exist, stop," and it just stopped dead. It just stopped dead. And I was asking questions. I was asking random stuff. I was asking for my mum. I was asking about other kind of things, and it was doing it. It was spinning. Then it was stopping, right? And then I asked it. I said, "When will I die?" I just, why not, right? Why not ask it and things like that? And it wouldn't spin. And then I asked it, "What does the afterlife look like?" And it wouldn't spin. I felt like there was certain things that it couldn't answer. It wouldn't answer.
Well, under that context, it's like you do realize with the pendulum, it's very limited as to what it can actually tell you, right?
You've got
That's why it's yes and
I was
no, or
yes or
unless
no.
you got
That's
like
what
a
I was doing.
certain piece of paper out to
But that
spell things out for it.
but that's what I was doing. I was like, well, I was going through like the ages, what age I would go, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it just wouldn't answer me. It just refused point blank to answer me, right? But
Mm-hmm.
then I asked it another question, some mad random question. I went, "Oh, how's my mum? Is she in heaven?" And like that, and it started spinning. You know what I mean? It was like random questions like that, which I find interesting. I also asked, do spirits stay for their funeral, right? And it started to spin. And then I says, after the funeral, do the cross. And it started to spin. And then I just threw one in to see what I says, do I have anything serious wrong with me? And it stopped. It wouldn't spin wrong because obviously I've been telling you about my health problems. Then I was asking it about other things in the paranormal, and it wouldn't ask me for them. It just would not answer me. It was like a hit a brick wall. But then it makes me wonder, if there's no time in the afterlife, how do I not know that that wasn't me that was making that spin?
Well, there is that speculation that if it's another you interacting within a certain space, that could cause some sort of paradox, and I don't know, that might cause some adverse effects. But
Well, have you
who
ever
the
came
hell
across
knows?
a spirit no refusing to answer you?
There was a couple of instances where you could just tell there was an obvious
Mhm,
hesitation. I was doing it through EVP sessions, and you would just hear the change in tone because it was shortly after my grandfather passed away. I did a lot of ghost hunting stuff involving him,
mhm,
which he didn't mind because he was how I got my very first case.
mhm.
So he was fully expecting me to do it, and I would start asking, is this going to happen? Is this going to happen? I will go to ask. It's like, am I going to make it till my 50s? Because I had a bunch of stuff
That's what
going
I was
on, and
no.
started doing like that. There was like a hesitation, like he either wasn't sure or there was something that he knew that he didn't want to say.
Mhm,
And there's also been points, interestingly enough, where they'd be a bit more quieter. You have to really practically blow your eardrums out in order to hear it on the settings. But there would be a secondary voice saying, he's not supposed to know yet.
yeah, mhm. I think right, and this is my honest truth, everybody's heard of spirit guides and stuff. I definitely think we've got, like, a spirit team that takes turns following you about, right? I think there's always 2 of them. I think somebody follows you about and then one of them just goes away somewhere for his lunch or something like that, the kind of thing where the other one takes her. I think they're always with us, right? Because they're called spirit teams, right? I think when you start into communication with another spirit, that's them that's telling, do not tell them anything. Honestly, I do. I think that's them.
Maybe. Because, but then it goes to the follow up with the question. Say there's some sort of protocols, like Lulu was saying in the chat, about what they can and cannot talk about. Who enforces them? What
Well,
enforces them?
if you believed in the Bible, kind of wrote about, oh, the angels came down with their big sword and said, no, nay. I think there's like a universal understanding. You don't, I think when you go back there, when you go there to see, this is what I find interesting. Have you ever noticed, right? Spirits that haven't crossed, right, that are trapped in maybe a building, are more likely to tell you more stuff than spirits that have crossed.
I have noticed that.
So what happens if the right, for instance, I dropped down deed to know, right, and then a couple of months' time or something, you're doing an investigation, and I've no crossed. I'll tell you everything. What happens if when you die, you don't cross, so you don't go into the tunnel of light, you just hang about? You basically like, can tell him anything you want. Eventually, one of the other spirits will tell you, to tell you. And the reason I say that is because that's actually happened. I was watching that. It was a ghost hunting team. I can't remember who it was. And they were in the graveyard, and one of the spirits said, "Oh," was answering the questions, and then, like you said, there was another spirit's voice went, "Stop telling them things." What happens if when you cross, you agree to something. You have to agree.
Oh, it makes you wonder. Because, like I said, you go to talk about situations like spirit teams. In my experience, a lot of them have some sort of personal connection with the individual they're keeping an eyeball of. Either it's an old friend, family members, stuff like that. So while I understand that aspect of it could just very well be a comfort thing, they also realize there could be some serious psychological damage that if something too much gets said.
Or it is interfering with your contract. It's interfering with your destiny. Let's face it, right? Say your destiny is to come here to learn people about the afterlife and stuff like that, but say you're also your destiny is to live a life where you're in a lot of pain, right? And you lose people and it's got to be terrible and all that kind of stuff, right? And then another spirit tells you that that's going to happen, and you're going to be like, oh no, and you go off on a different road, and then you die, and then you go back to the spirit life, and they're like, listen, you shouldn't have listened to that spirit. You're going to have to go back and do that again. Is that your bet? Your door just opened there and shut.
Cats, dude. Cats.
They're coming for you. What's that? Just go there.
True. Mather the post. True. We would have them conversing with one another. Some of them are like, don't tell them. Then there's some that will say stuff. It's interesting. It's like there's a secret they have to keep.
Right. I think there's a difference. I think there's a difference between two spirits, right? I think the spirits that are on this plane that have no crossed are no as powerful as the spirits that have crossed.
Obviously, because there's a disconnect. There's soul rot. That if they don't cross over, they could just fade into obscurity.
See, this is what I find interesting. This is what. Let's take Robert. Where are you? You're probably about here somewhere, right? Floating about, right? Let's take Robert for instance. Now, a psychic told me, a good psychic friend, told me that. See when I tell you this, by the way, freezing.
And
freezing cold.
And your camera just froze too.
Yep, freezing cold right here, right now, right. Robert, now what I've learned to Robert is, right, he died, he crossed over, but he came back, right? He came back to haunt this area, right? But why, if there's reincarnation? Unless this is his purpose, unless this is his job. He basically trying to communicate with me, protect me, and occasionally do stuff on here, unless this is his purpose. Maybe he's got a job as a guide. You see where I'm going with this?
So you're saying that when we die, we still gonna have to go to a 9 to 5?
Yep.
Fuck! No.
Yep. Yep. We have to go to work. Yep. You can. It's absolutely freezing here. It's weird. It's warm here, but freezing here.
It goes to make you wonder. See, what if? Now I'm just putting this out there. What if it's not exactly a set, strict path line? You're able to choose how you go about to do stuff. Because in the end, you're the one that's got to handle the controls. You may have somebody whispering in your ear from time to time, but while you're out and about, you're still the one that has to handle the controls.
I think they need to watch because it might affect when you see your destiny, your path in life. For instance, right, you're out ghost hunting, you're talking to a spirit, and the spirit turns around and goes, "What was your grandpa's name, by the way? Across it?"
Thomas.
Right. This is Thomas, your grandpa. Hope you're well. Oh, by the way, you're going to die when you're 42. Just thought I would tell you that right now. That's going to change your life, innit?
Well, yeah, obviously I'm going to start asking, okay, what the fuck happens?
right?
Is it a car accident?
And then,
Am I
right, you
blown to
ask that.
bits? What's going on?
You ask that, and then it goes, you end up having a massive heart attack, and you're such and such, right? So then you think to yourself, right, bugger, I'm going to change things. I'm going to start exercising even more. I'm going to do stuff. You become head. You leave that road, and then you don't die that day. But then eventually you get to like 90 or something like that, and you pass away, and you go to the spirit realm and like that. You were meant to experience death at 42. You have to go back and do it again. And your grandpa's getting a row at the same time. He's getting chased about. I think we're here to learn. I think we're here to learn.
Yeah, it does make you wonder. Because let's go as a little example. Let's say the 9/11 terrorist attacks.
Yeah.
There's a lot of videos you see going around saying, oh, one person who was supposed to be on those planes, their alarm clock didn't go off on time. Another person, they were stuck in traffic. You know, little things like that obviously on your normal day-to-day be kind of annoying, but happens. But then you realize that you were supposed to be on that plane. You say isn't there something that helps interfere to make sure you go about a certain way as well? That's where this situation gets complicated.
You're talking about Final Destination kind of path here material, right? I don't think it's like that. I think, right, you've went off your path. You were meant to die in the Twin Towers and the terribleness that it was. But just continue your life the way it is the new. And when you're old and die and you come back here, we'll just need to try again. And we'll pick another disaster involving an airplane or something.
Are you the one assuming that it's always something negative like that?
Oh, it might not be negative.
But that also brings up a very valid question. Well, why the devastation?
What do you mean?
Why the devastation?
What do you mean, like nuclear war and like wars and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, like who would? Now, granted, maybe say it's some advanced society that has such an understanding and disconnect from the emotional boundaries that is human existence that it's like starting up a new character in a video game. Just as an example, who in the hell would voluntarily choose a life where they know something bad's going to happen to them?
Because they want to learn that. See, the more you do, the higher up a light being you become. Like, see, you start off as the first being, and in your next life, you die a disease, the next life, and the next life, the next life, and it just keeps happening. But every time that you pass your test, you get that little bit brighter, and you get that little bit more higher up. You see where I'm going with this? It's like Louise there, she says, what about the ones that interfere, like tell you? See, I find that interesting. But what happens if there's something that we can't see when they do it? What happens if it does something to them? It stops them from crossing. And they're like, oh, you shouldn't have said that to that person. You're not allowed to cross now for the next 100 years. Kind of thing. What happens if there's like maybe restrictions on them? Or you're never allowed to communicate again for another 6 months?
But here's the thing. Who's to say that individual is saying, you know what? Fuck you.
Exactly.
It's not right. Say like you have these stories of voices coming through a baby monitor say, come, something's wrong with the baby. Get her to a doctor now. Say it follows that example you just gave.
Right. But what happens if...
That goes back to what I was saying. Who the fuck would purposely let something bad happen if they know that they could somehow divert it?
You're going to get into You're going to get down to free will and all that kind of stuff now, aren't you? You're going to,
some of
if you
those
really think
psychics
about
also
things.
say that free will overrides the soul contract.
We don't know what happens with spirits that save somebody, right? Maybe the spirits thought, right, this guy's got a job in the Twin Towers at 9:15. I'll accidentally do my magic powers and make his alarm clock no work. Right? That person might be his grandfather or father or mother or whoever, right? But we don't know what happens to that spirit after it changes his way, his destiny. We don't know what happens to that spirit. That spirit might be banished somewhere. You don't know, do you? I think you can. I mean, I've heard. I think it's Lisa says you can actually get out of your soul contract. I've heard of that. You can get out of your soul contract, but do you want to get out of it? Because you're just going to have to come back and learn again, and again, and again,
How do you know?
and again.
How do you know?
That's the thing, we don't know. Nobody knows until it's your time.
Usually when you go into this type of area where free will is exacted a little too much, that's where you get to start getting into stories like Lucifer and Satan basically saying, fuck this shit ain't working for me, I'm gonna go build something better.
But then you could go down the road to saying, how do we not know Lucifer's actually a nice guy?
Exactly. There's so many. No, that's the point exactly I'm trying to make. There's only so much we're able to see from our perspective as it is now. I don't care how much of a good psychic you think you are. I don't care if you go to a psychic so much you go to them just to figure out how to wipe your ass. There's only so much you can figure out.
But what's that Louise says in the chat?
And
Unless it's your guide, maybe they're allowed to help. See, maybe if, right, I've always thought, right, I've noticed, right, when I do ghost box things, and I've noticed this in the last few months when I've been doing ghost box seasons just myself, I've noticed the name Robert comes through quite a lot. I think yes, he likes it here, but I think it's his job to look after me. I really do think that, because I've been in totally different places and Robert's come through. Maybe it's a different Robert, I don't know, maybe it's just a coincidence. I think he's here for a reason.
Well,
right.
Well, here's one thing. Have you ever thought about asking Robert if you're related?
Never actually asked him that. I'll ask him after when I do my pendulum.
I was like, think about it. A lot of these guys, again, 9 times out of 10, the ones that come through the most have some sort of personal connection. They voluntarily, I mean, first ever poltergeist case I ever dealt with, I was 16. I mean, there was the whole scratches on the walls, voices, things getting thrown about. But it took me about 5 minutes to figure out why that was happening.
No.
It's because the mother in the family, her mother, was very pissed at the husband because he was cheating. But it's one of those things where I got to know the family a little bit more. Grandma died just before her grandkids were born. She knew that they were coming, but she didn't make it long enough. So, but she really wanted to stick around, see their kids grow up, things like that. That personal connection still factors into it, I think.
I found it interesting. It was last year sometime we were away at that Carmichael house, right? And about, oh my God, about a month, that was a month after my Uncle Eric died. Right. And the ghost box said, Eric. Danger, Eric. And it made me wonder because I was thinking about him that day. and they say spirits know when you're thinking about them and stuff like that, right? And then it said other names, Samuel, right? Samuel. You obviously ken my brother Drew's got Samuel, right? Right.
Aye.
But you know, it was really interesting. Where I parked the car, I parked right next to the graveyard, and see the other side of the wall, my great grandfather's headstone. It was Samuel. So it makes you wonder. I think the day follow you about. I think the day follow you about. Take the opportunities to follow you about. But it's like, what's that there? Was that in the chat there? Can I see that? I need to bring it up. My chat's not working. I was about to say that maybe the universal law. Get what I mean?
Mm.
Maybe it is universal law. Maybe it is. What's this? I've had. Why is it some writing smaller than others? That's weird. That
I know.
I've
I
had.
went into the YouTube and the chat wasn't even popping up.
A pair of bloody binoculars.
Lulu goes to post. I've had an NDE while I was younger. Only for what I heard what to do, I may have drowned. I had them come through during different scenarios. Yeah, I've been there myself.
Ah. See, that's interesting. That
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm the expert in the life after death, guys. I honestly don't know what happens. I do think there's definitely a life after death. I've been with people dying, right, and I've noticed some strange things that they do.
Yeah.
It was there was, I'll not mention who it was, but there was one, and they were painting in the corner, and they're like, "Oh, I'm going to a party tonight." They're all coming for me. Can you not see them? Can you not see them? They're all standing. They're all waiting, and you're like, "Oh, I'm the only one here." Like, no. I'm going to a party tonight. I'm going to a party tonight, and I'm going to be the star attraction because that'll be me that's going there. And then they're gone like 5-10 minutes later. What was that, man?
I was about to say, but were you alone?
That's very true. I don't think I was alone.
Yeah,
I don't
just
think
recently.
you feel it.
Yeah, just recently, I was talking on the phone with somebody, and we got somebody been helping out. They had some possible past life stuff come up, and felt that I was somehow connected. We got into talking, and as we were talking, it even caught something on the security cameras I have set up. All of a sudden, there was this flash of light out of the corner of my eye. Then I see something swoop, like it was somebody quickly running out, like that was wearing a robe. So it's like, are we ever truly alone, though?
See, do you not find that interesting that the spirits that have crossed all seem to have robes on? Whereas spirits that haven't crossed are all like kind of like dressed in normal clothes.
And again, this is one thing I've always wondered.
Wow.
I think it was Iron City, one of the Iron City interviews that I asked this last time, but how do we have clothes when we die?
See, that's an interesting.
I mean, that's not, these aren't part of us.
That's what I was going to ask. I mean, I've heard like people saying, "Oh, everybody has a big party for you when you die, right?" So do you materialize in having in front of, say, like, I don't know, 200 people naked?
I was about to say, is the afterlife a big nudist colony?
But what happens if you?
Why do we have clothes?
But here's an interesting question. I think Louise will like this one. What happens if you die in the act? You know?
God damn.
I had to say it. I mean, it's happened to people.
Yeah, I know a couple people it's happened to, and let's just say they died with a smile on their face. So I guess at least they died happy.
Aye. So it's like, I mean,
their 20-something year old side piece was a little freaked out, but
I was also told that spirits, especially your family spirits, are always know exactly what you're up to, Dakota. They know exactly.
I want to turn off the lights for this one.
Aye, 0G in space. I don't know, but it's that is a good point about the robes and the flip flops. They've got a thing for flip flops, robes. I'm surprised Pete isn't here tonight. Flip flops and robes.
I don't know.
You know, I suppose it's kind of. It must be quite relaxing being in the afterlife. You know. I wonder what people do all day. I mean, when you're in between, like maybe haunting somebody you don't like, or.
There's a psychic that I've been trying to get on this show. I think she would be absolutely fucking hilarious. She did a mass, astral projection session to heaven itself. And I don't know. It was interesting. I had a few questions for her I didn't get to ask when I got to see her in person, but story for another time, maybe.
See, I mean, you could go down the road to, say, aliens and that. I mean, you don't need to get born on Earth.
Exactly.
You could go somewhere else.
What about all these kids that, they're having all the same symptoms as kids that were possibly reincarnated, but they're talking about other worlds, like these futuristic cities and these funny looking people. Like that Boris,
us too, have they?
Like that Boris kid out of Russia. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce his last name, but the boy born from on Mars.
I know who you're talking about. I mean, God knows how many lives that me and you have had. This might be your 8,000th life. What's that? You hear that?
Hear what?
That there when I said that. Somebody agreed. They went, Well, that's you.
Oh yeah, that was something getting rubbed against the springs on my mic.
Something getting rubbed against the spring, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm not that big. Wait.
Where's Jamie? Jamie! He's been dirty.
Why are you wanting Jenny to come out if I'm being dirty?
Why is my mouse keep moving, by the way? That is the weirdest thing. My mouse keeps moving.
I fucking hate when that happens, man.
I put that there and it slowly is going that way. You know?
Oh, maybe it's Robert trying to screw with you.
Robert! Let's do an experiment tonight. Everybody in the chat, who wants to take part in the experiment? Come on.
Chris, we can't hear you. You're lighting up like it's picking up speech, but we can't hear you.
Can you not hear me?
Now you're back. No,
that was weird because that was weird because I went, Robert, let's do an experiment.
There you go again.
Right. Can you hear me now?
Now? God, what the fuck is going on with your mic, man?
There's nothing wrong. I'll turn it right up. Can you not hear me at all?
No, I can hear you now.
Right, let's do an experiment with Robert really quickly. Right. To visit one of you tonight. Dakota, Louise, tell us what happens, because I want you to stand at the bottom of their bed and just stand and stare at them. Thank you very much. A couple of hours should be suffice.
Make it to where I can see you on camera so we can show off. Come on,
can you keep going blurry for me? Yeah, and if Mike is listening, could you go and visit Dakota tonight? Maybe do something so you can show him he's there.
Help me with my pole dancing. I'm trying to lose a little weight.
Hey, I tell you, Mike would have been into that. Mike would have been into the pole dancing. Oh, great. I'm on nights. There you go, Robert.
You
Louise is
see,
on nights.
you see what I mean, Louise? He's always trying to get other people into something dirty.
Well, you can say about your spirit guides. Tell him to come and visit me. Tell him to come visit me. I won't notice it because I wear earplugs and iPad, you know.
Did you just fucking see that?
I seen something move. I don't know what it was.
Yeah, it was like right where my finger's at. I
There's a
saw
favour.
light right there.
There's a favour, Robert, is touch Dakota. But obviously in a shoulder or somewhere like that. I didn't immediately.
You telling Robert the Ghost to give me a reach around? You sick fuck.
Just touch his shoulder or his head. Tap his head. Kid, when you're clapping something.
Oh dear Lord, you're bringing that up again.
Go and see Louise. Go and see Louise. She's probably sitting in a couch or a settee the new, looking after someone. Go and see Louise. Just appear in front of them and go, hello. What?
Yeah, just have her phone glitch out, go to completely black, and there's a face that pops up. Something out of a Final Destination.
I think he's going to stay with you the night. I think he's going to stay with you the night. He's just going to sit at the bottom of your bed and stare at you.
Unfortunately, I'm like Louise. I'm on nights, and
that'll be fine then. The graveyard shift.
I don't know. Weird shit keeps happening. It's like I really need to get cameras rigged up on my car. Speaking of which, because there's shit flying around.
You need to get a new car. I mean, how many miles is on it now? How many miles is on it now?
Over 170 miles, I think.
That's not that bad. That's
170,000 miles.
I'll be fine. You know. So, what's the show tomorrow night about, Dakota? Out of curiosity.
I don't know. It's gonna be hard working around guests with fucking daylight savings hitting us next week, or at least here on my side of the pond.
I've only got one show next week, next Saturday, because obviously on the Sunday I'm busy.
That's right. Let's see. Saturday, we get. I don't know. Just make it another fun episode. Maybe do a little contact experiment on air again. It's been a long time since we've actually done one of those.
Beam me up.
And unfortunately, unfortunately, they fixed the glitch for the CE5 app to where I could go on and just combine different tones. They fixed that problem.
I've not used that. I've not played with the CE5 app for a while.
I was talking with someone the other night, and it popped up by itself on some of the Hindu mantras that it has in there. And I'm just like, okay, is there a hint here?
The CE5 is quite a good thing, I must admit. It does seem to work,
I know.
But that's a story for another time, as Mike would say.
If anybody get fucking Dr. Greer to come on.
Louise, if you can listen to this, I'm not going to tell you what Robert looks like because I know exactly what it looks like. So,
well, yeah, it's better that she's be blindfolded when it comes to that type of stuff. Wait.
Don't you worry, Dakota's going to be doing a class on paranormal pole dancing. That's a good name for a show, isn't it? Paranormal pole dancing. I tell you get quite a few views with that.
I should have never told you I took exotic dancing classes.
Well, when we meet in person, we'll be wanting to see a show.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I tell you, Dots is getting excited. He's getting ready. He's getting he's polishing his pole as we speak.
That reminds me, I need to find my breakaway pants. I don't know what the hell I did with those since I moved into this house.
Breakaway pants? Is that the ones that just rip off and fling away? Wow, you actually had some of them.
Those are comfy, man.
I don't know. Oh my God,
they're comfy.
See, the pole was it like reinforced? Was it like,
If they're
well,
if the poles are installed correctly, they can handle about up to 500 pounds.
wow. Wow. Well, look, if you did a paranormal pole dance video, I bet
Well, you can't
it'd get
tip.
loads
Oh,
of
you
views.
the fuck, Ken. I can't tip. It's awfully cold.
Look, there's no excuse. You could be out there thrusting away for the good of humanity.
Hey, all I
Plus
gotta
giving
say
us
is for
all
all
off.
you Magic Mike lovers, they all had fake ones strapped on.
Oh, God. I think we should end this show now.
I
Ladies
know
and
we're starting
gentlemen,
to go
have
off
a
the deep
fantastic
end.
night. We'll see you tomorrow night with paranormal pole dancing coming to you soon by the Bald and Bonkers Network. Well, I think it'd be great. We could get the Smith family paranormal involved.
Oh, dear Lord.
Chad, you can be, aye. It'd be a new
Not
show
at
for
chat
us.
age.
He could do that. He's an ex-Marine. He could do it, no problem.
You don't want to know what those Marines get up to, man.
Just, you need to watch so they don't oil the pole.
We better end this show before we end up with snipers on our ass.
Goodbye, everyone. And remember, Dakota's doing paranormal pole dancing.
God.
I'm not going to let
I
yours
should have
go.
never told you about that.
What?
I should have never told you about that. Now I'm going to get
No
some
problem,
very
Dots.
embarrassing messages.